Concept-era business opportunities are experienced just as the Chinese people are complacent about the national policy of family planning, which has resulted in 400 million fewer births in China. The aging population has advanced by 23%. 10 years will come. At the end of 2006, the population of elderly people aged 60 and above in China reached 149 million. Experts predict that it will reach 325 million by 2030, accounting for 21.9% of the total population. The typical 4+2+1, where a young couple has to support 4 elderly people and 1 child family structure, structural shortage of labor force, and insufficient social security income are the numerous challenges brought about by aging, which force structural adjustments at all levels of society. And the most crucial one is the transformation of thinking mode under the transition of old and new. The older generation thinks with the left brain. The left brain belongs to logic, rationality, utilitarianism, personal experience, analysis and calculation. The brain processes information in a time-dependent, sequential, and either-or directed manner. Therefore, the left brain almost represents the rule, institutionalization, standardization and mass production, which is just in line with the rules of the industrial age, bringing about the efficiency of collectivism, and also making focusing on big things and pragmatism the most typical way of thinking of the left brain. From the rule of holding chopsticks in the right hand, the arrangement of multiple choice questions on machine reading cards, to the efficiency of Fordism and the scientific worship of industrial civilization. The products under left brain thinking almost control the past. And in that year generation, left brain control has its inevitability. Firstly, in the early stages of industrialization, the market's ability to allocate resources was weak, and it could only rely on administrative means to concentrate efforts on major tasks to achieve national street rateages. Secondly, the accumulation of primitive capital relies on careful calculation, rationality rather than sensibility, science rather than intuition, and the consolidation of the foundation of the real economy through standardized production based on efficiency rather than the construction of a utopia. Therefore, industrial civilization itself is a civilization dominated by the left brain, and rationality and science are the two of them great magic weapon. But now the situation has made the premise of the era of left brain control gradually fade. Firstly, computerization, miniaturization, become stories, that is, who can tell stories, whose stories are more credible, and who has more wealth. At present, investment banks seem to be the king of stories. Whether it's internationally renowned Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, or China's struggling private equity funds, they are all passionate about telling stories, ranging from building friendships with the president and prime minister to hyping up rumors about the chairman of a listed company. The purpose of hype is nothing more than to increase their equivalent. The financial civilization does not exist independently of other civilizations, but is linked to the first 3 civilizations. For example, agricultural listed companies graft financial civilization onto agricultural civilization, amplifying the achievements of agricultural civilization several times or tens of times through a financial civilization. Technology-based venture capital funds graft financial civilization onto industrial and information civilization, greatly improving the efficiency of industrial and information civilization. At present, the most successful grafting is still in investment (NKS), including popular IDG technology venture capital funds, VC venture capital, PE private equity investment, etc. Each of the four economic civilizations has its own differences. The older the era, the more complete its knowledge system is. However, at the same time, its knowledge is the efficacy also accelerates the decline. The characteristics of different economic civilizations vary greatly, and the corresponding knowledge systems have significant differences. Judging the development trend of the next civilization based on the knowledge laws of the previous civilization is similar to the Battle of Guangdong and Qiying. At present, the society is generally unaware of the arrival of financial civilization. Entertainment, mobile TV and online gaming competitions have emerged one after another. And even the Second Life allows people to live an alternative life, which is a product of young people's right-brainedness. Moreover, the right brain's counteraction and subversion of the left brain have already appeared. The separation of the real and virtual economy allows stock prices to no longer rely on physical performance but instead on imaginative space. Whoever has a good story can control expectations, and the stock price rises quickly. The emergence of Google culture, with its casual and entertaining work culture, calls for freedom to play and emphasizes entertainment. Feeling and wasting time correctly have instead become manifestations of efficiency. And such things precisely indicate the expansion of the development space of the right brain. Continuing like this, the focus of the future will clearly shift from left brain to right brain. But this does not mean left brain, the brain will be abandoned. Practice is the only criterion for testing truth, and science is the primary productive force are still unchanging truths. Left-handed thinking methods such as logic and calculation are still in use, but the variables that affect the situation increase, and factors interact with each other. In addition, the weight of uncertainty factors such as expectations increases. As reform enters the deep water zone, scientific and rational thinking frameworks are actually constrained. Jumping out of the frame with right brain thinking may be more practical. Therefore, the two tractive forces of the aging left brain and the youth right brain are likely to launch a tug of war, so that the problem is no longer a multiple choice that is either left or right, and the solution will also become the middle way of both left and right and neither left nor right. This shift in mindset will drive turbulence at all levels of society, rapidly pulling society into a new era of business opportunities. On the one hand, as the focus of future society shifts from the left brain to the right brain, from rationality to sensibility, from technology to emotion, from the switch from efficiency to satisfaction will also shift the requirements for goods from functionality to ethics, from usefulness to entertainment, from one-way to interactive, and from material to spiritual. This change is not perceived through abstract thinking or rigid mode operations, but rather through personal experience and self-exploration. Free trials, free tasting, interactive AIs for home appliances, and sample rooms are gradually making experiential consumption mainstream, and online experiential marketing has enabled the domestic trial customer base to exceed 3 million. The comprehensive emergence of the experience economy indicates that the financial crisis has not yet bottomed out, but no one mentions currency wars anymore, as they are considered war dollars in the book. The murderous and behind-the-scenes Wall Street tycoons died before they got out, while most of the survivors sold themselves to the government, were denationalized, and even did transsexual surgery to return to the bank to survive. The expected market of painful sharing by the crisis did not happen, which made people obsessed with explaining the financial crisis with conspiracy theory very frustrated. Did investment banks die of mass suicide? Just as currency war itself is a specious rumor strung together with bizarre conspiracies, even such a book is rumored to be a copycat version because the original version comes from the United States. However, the views in the book perfectly match the needs of those who have suffered heavy losses due to misjudgment of the situation, as dressing themselves as victims of uncertainty is more likely to gain sympathy. Therefore, as soon as this book was published, it was highly sought after and appeared at high-level financial seminars, serving as a shield against pressure. However, with the passage of time, the currency war has no effect on the overall situation, and it is still not eloquent enough to be used for casual conversation after meals. The essence of the financial crisis is money surplus, but in the conspiracy theory, money can be controlled unilaterally and completely. The 6 major families behind the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve control the situation, using cunning tactics to influence currency flows and earn large amounts of money, in order to achieve their goals by killing people and Buddha. However, the most fatal flaw of this logic is that the government and the 6 major families do not have the control they expected. They may have controlled the currency within the banking system. Once the currency flows out, it is not only difficult to track but also repeatedly transforms into capital and hot money. What is even more terrifying is that during this process the scale of the currency continues to expand. The expansion ability continues to improve, and speculative models are extensively replicated, creating a vast amount of money, book assets or liabilities registered on the balance sheets of financial institutions are in reality dependent on the price of resources and assets. The contradiction between the leveraged expansion of monetary capital and the limitation of the price rise of assets and resources will automatically close positions under the law of value. Obviously, this is the original sin of self-expansion and self-evaporation in finance. So on the one hand, the runaway of currency falsify the possibility of a holistic and long-term monetary conspiracy. On the other hand, the automatic liquidation of currency has falsified the possibility of a century-long and shocking conspiracy. Of course, it is not ruled out the financial explosion and personality-splitting. Greenspan's memoir The Age of Turbulence came out at a delicate moment. The real estate bubble burst. The subprime crisis is spreading. The answers to irrational behaviors found in the book from the perspective of psychology and anthropology, while they are ultimately rooted in human nature. The tendency to turn from excitement to fear has not only become the best footnote to this crisis, but more importantly, it also inadvertently revealed that although Greenspan has been in charge of the Federal Reserve, which represents the authority of rationality, for years, his heart is full of fear for irrationality and powerlessness for foam. What a great split this is! In fact, when it comes to human personality, most people will believe in its innate and unchanging characteristics. But from agriculture, the evolution of the three-character classic from the well-known concept of human nature is inherently good at the beginning, similar in nature, but far apart in habits to the industrial civilization's concept of human nature is like jade. And both nature and emotions can be shaped undoubtedly. Y highlights the dynamic and malleable aspect of human nature. In other words, the production and lifestyle styles under different cultures play an extremely important role in shaping the character of people living in them. For example, in the agricultural economy, the production method of relying on the weather for food and the exchange method of physical objects such as gold and silver as general equivalents bring about a social civilization characterized by honest labor and self-restraint, accompanied by the mechanized production mode of the industrial economy, and the exchange method of currency, paper currency, as the general equivalent. There has been a great expansion of human subjectivity, distortion caused by a single working method, and diversification brought about by the symbolization of value standards. Human personality has also become rich and complex. With the accelerated evolution of civilization, the evolution of this personality that originally belonged to several generations is becoming increasingly concentrated, shrinking to a generation, especially in the short span of nearly half a century. Information civilization and financial civilization have successively arrived, and profound changes in production and lifestyle, as well as various new features, are all impacting people's original thinking habits and behavioral concepts, and even subtly changing people's personalities themselves. Firstly, a major characteristic of financial civilization is irrational prosperity. From the price-to-earnings ratio to the market dream ratio, which refers to don't focus on performance or value principles, just dream-like growth expectations. For example, the stock price of LMZ, which is mainly engaged in toothpaste, once soared to yuan. because its holding of about % shares of CITIC Securities gave people huge